Hello and welcome to our web chat on connectivity, our sixth one in the series, cost effectively empowering the corporate treasurer to manage cash in real time, anywhere, anytime. It sounds like a dream in a way, but you'll discover what Phil means. Phil is Managing Director of Cash Management Solutions at Gresham. He used to be CEO of the BT Group before it was acquired by Gresham. Phil, welcome.
Welcome, Jack.
We are going to be covering the new connectivity services in the new version of Clareti, which is Gresham's connectivity package. Now, it has many different facilities and has been enthusiastically, I'm astonished to hear it's been, since it was launched, it now has 120 customers worldwide. What are the types of users? What are the locations and so on?
Okay, Jack. Well, first, the locations, it's really is global. We've got clients in EMEA, and by that I would really say primarily Western Europe, continental Europe, UK and Ireland, and then in Africa as well, so primarily from South Africa, but that goes out into other African countries, North America, and APAC. So we're quite global in terms of the spread, to say the least, but the most are in EMEA, I have to say. Profiles of clients are the banks themselves, transaction banks, and they can be the major banks or, tier 2 banks. It's different sizes, but any banks that deal with corporate clients. And we deal with larger corporate clients. They don't tend to be the SMEs. They would be perhaps, wallet turnover of perhaps $500 million or more, probably more. And we also deal with insurers where they are connected with their banks for cash. So very similar, in fact, to the profile of a large multinational multi-bank corporate.
Now, the problem that I see, what we need here is automation with integration. And this is essentially what you've done, isn't it?
Indeed it is. This schematic here, we've tried to put as much as possible on here without crowding it too much. But Jack, if you'd like, I can walk through the different components here and explain the flows and the automation and the benefits that come from that. Would you like me to do that?
Yes, but the important point here is that it's not just connectivity, it's also a cash management solution as well, which needs to be understood because it's way beyond connectivity now.
Indeed. So our view of benefits for a corporate treasurer are that you cannot have effective cash management without this kind of connectivity to all of your banks. So if we look at the diagram here, we've got the corporate client environment, and there may be almost no systems, but there may well be an ERP or more than one, Oracle, SAP, or anything else, treasury management system, or Wall Street systems, something like that. And then more often than one might think, at very large corporates, we find quite mission critical systems running on based on Excel and that sort of thing. And then there may be numerous banks that are servicing that corporate. So I say numerous, could be 10. We've got clients, particularly in larger multinationals with well over 100. And the trick here, the important thing is to make sure that they're all connected, and we pride ourselves in being able to connect them in whatever manner is required. So it could be that the corporate requires a link, via a file-based system, via Swift, or via an API. So, for a real-time call, application program interface, and similarly with the banks. Now, we even automate, which is not shown on here fully, but we even automate, particularly in emerging markets where banks are either unwilling or unable to send a Swift message. We can automate, documents like PDFs, as long as they're reasonably well structured, and automatically take in a statement, an FX confirmation, or a payment instruction, and convert that to digital that the corporate or the bank can accommodate. So it's linking in any manner, any system, so that you've got full coverage. And I'll say again, it's very important to our clients, these larger corporate treasury operations, to be able to get full enterprise-wide cash visibility. And the only way you can do that is to link to all of your banks, not just the larger ones that are good at Swift. We like to get full coverage. These boxes on the top left-hand and right-hand are our cash management portal, and the bank statements or real-time balances go into that cash management portal to give you an overview of your cash by full enterprise or by currency, territory, by bank, however you want to dice it. And we also do that via an app, meaning that a treasurer on the go can go in and have a look at their balances. Our portal also enables either download of payments from an ERP or a TMS or Excel, accounts payable, cash and treasury, payroll, that sort of thing, which then are controlled by a single point of control, single point of authorization, possibly, where an authorization and a 4-eyes verification can be done before those payments go out to the bank. We can also do sanctions checking at that point as well, just to double check that that payment is good to go. And our repository, by the way, the payments functionality includes being able to enter payments manually as a contingency, but we don't have that on our mobile cash management app, and that's at the request of our corporate clients. They just don't feel it's safe. They prefer to have that on a browser in their own back office.
The multi-bank repository, is that important?
It is very important, because that's got all of the intelligence that allows our platform to process, across the world. Just take the UK, you've got different payment schemes like BACS or faster payments, CHAPS, and different banks that have different message formats. All of those have to be accommodated, processed automatically, pretty well at the speed of light for this to work. You'll see on that list there's also, we say message format repository. That's basically all of the, we have an underlying product which is hidden from the end client called Clareti Integration Studio, which has a massive repository of message formats. Basically means we know how to interface with pretty well any bank in any country. A routing engine makes sure it goes to the right bank and possibly the right branch, and so on. That can be done by identifying the account number. User access profiles, so that possibly somebody in the shared service center, a senior group treasurer, can see everything. Somebody in Australia and somebody in South Africa, or somebody somewhere else can only see their particular banks and accounts, that kind of user access profile, or they're allowed to view, or they're allowed to authorize. And different kinds of transactions as well. We support trade finance, cash and treasury, accounts payable, FX. We can manage automated cash pooling and sweeping. So the repository, Jack, is it's the brain at the heart of the Clareti multi-bank platform.
Now, within the payment landscape, real-time reporting and real-time payments is becoming not normal, but it's the emerging new technology. How does Clareti manage that?
Well, the real-time aspect is managed through APIs, so application programmer interfaces, which are basically just published mechanisms whereby you can call for certain information. Now, what that translates to with a bank, if they have an operating API, I can call that, and so I'll do that every time as a corporate treasurer. I either go into the Clareti portal, the multi-bank portal, or perhaps if I log on to my, I'm within my ERP system, SAP or something, and that will make a call to Clareti, which will then call the bank in turn. Now, if the bank is sophisticated enough, they will return my balance in real time. So literally be my balance as of, this second pretty much. And I'll return that, and you'll be able to see my up-to-date balance with any receipts that I've had, or credits or debits, affecting that balance during the day, not just a closing balance. Now, the one caveat here is how ready are the banks? Because this is new. There's more and more uptake, good collaboration, standardization in certain parts of Asia Pacific, continental Europe. Then the UK has a group called CMA9 of banks who publish similar standards for these APIs. But if the bank can still only deliver batch-based balances, then it might still get an end-of-day balance. And it's important to know that. And we flag that on our cash management portal, so it's clear to the treasurer whether they're getting, up-to-date information, or, as one bright spot put it to me, yesterday's news in real time. But more and more, we're seeing these APIs being rolled out by the banks.
Okay, so if you bring all this together, and you are quite clearly got an enterprise-wide cash management, one of the important things I took from your description was that it's multi-bank, so it isn't just limited to your lead bank, it's all your banks. The question, though, is who pays for the service? Does the corporate pay for it, or does the bank pay for it?
Well, it can be either. I would hope not both. We don't have any situations where both are paying us. But we do have banking clients who use the product and they provide it to their corporate clients. That can happen, but more typically, the corporate takes us on. So we engage directly with our corporate clients. We deal with oil companies, airlines, and all sorts of different profiles. They will typically be multi-banked, and they will subscribe to the service to be able to connect to all of their banks and control their payments, cash visibility, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so I understand that. So of these 5 benefits, which is the most important? I'll go through them one by one, but my question really is still, what's the most important?
Well, I would say there isn't one that's most important, but I think there are 2 that really go across all of them. The first is that it is a one-stop shop for all of your banks, and you don't need a drawer full of banking portal tokens. You have a single login. You can see your cash enterprise-wide, or you can drill down to your subsidiaries, and you can control your payments in a single point. But to facilitate that, to be able to do that, you have to be able to link to all of your banks one way or another. So the one-stop shop on the left is the most important, but then we've got coverage of all the banks. We can do it in real time if the banks are ready to do that. We're agnostic as to how we link to the banks, and that means that the corporate can onboard or offboard a bank quite easily, more easily than if they were not linked through our platform. And of course, the fully managed service underpins it all. It's very secure. Clients can be very, very assured by the levels of resilience and security. So the single biggest point is that it's a single cash management view and payments control point for a multi-bank, multinational enterprise.
That sums it up neatly. What would be your closing summary, Phil? What would you say you've done here?
Well, at the risk of repetition, Jack, I would say that we really do cost effectively empower the corporate treasurer to manage their cash in real time, anywhere, and at any time. That's what we do.
I agree. That's essentially what you've done. But where's connectivity going? What's happening in connectivity that the corporate treasurer needs to think about?
Well, I think the market believes, and there's a wealth of information on this, that it is about real-time, balances, open banking through these APIs. They do make it quite easy to link up to the banks, a lot easier than it used to be if you were going through a bank's host-to-host channel, for example. And we're seeing more and more uptake. We're very proud of the fact that we were live with our first production API bank integration to a couple of challenger banks actually in November 2018. We're quite ahead of the curve. A lot of people talk about it, very few people are doing it. And we're seeing more and more uptake, I say, with these groups like CMA9. We're seeing it in Europe. PSD2, we're seeing it in Asia Pacific, and the Americans are going along with this as well. So real-time open banking we see as the real sea change in corporate treasury connectivity.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jack.